morning, everybody. How are you? My name is Brian Chen. I'll be spending from now to hopefully not any past than 12:30. Hopefully I can finish a little bit earlier so you guys can have an on-time lunch. My name is Brian Chen. I'm here to share with you how I personally use zipForm to make my real estate life easier. And hopefully that you can also share some of your techniques with me so we can both learn and grow at the same time. I'm a practicing realtor just like you. There's nothing special about me. I have been using zipForm for many years. I'm a California Association of Realtors certified zipForm trainer, and I use zipForm almost, well, used to be daily basis, but ever since I become a managing broker, I haven't been doing too much on a daily business in using zipForm, but I'm still pretty familiar with zipForm's functions. And I am able to create a crank out a RPA in less than 5 minutes and a complete RPA package. So I will share with you how I can achieve that by properly using the templates. And also there is a very good feature, very nice, useful feature called checklist. I want to show you how to set up a checklist template so that whenever you have a new transaction, okay, you can add the checklist into the transaction, and then the checklist will remind you or send you emails to remind you tasks that needs to be completed on that transaction whenever the time set up you have set up in the checklist. Okay, and there are toolbar functions, digital signatures, and forms tutors, forms advisors. I'll show you where you can find those, because those are things that you need to explore. I cannot show you all of it, in detail, because then that will become an all-day class. My goal is to go through these functionality introductions to you during the first half of the class, and then we can take a quick 10-minute restroom break and then come back refreshed, and I will show you a live demonstration on how I would go from scratch to start using a listing to write an offer and utilize the templates that I have set up before, and we do it together. Okay, and we can go from, also I will show you hopefully the MLS Connect. I am using Firefox because I have found that zipForm works not so well with the Safari. That's Apple's browser. It works better on Firefox or Chrome. Okay, so I am using Firefox browser today, and hopefully we're okay with the MLS Connect, because ever since the December 14th update, I have found, and many of my agents have told me, MLS Connect has not been working reliably. There is sometimes it's a hit and miss. Sometimes you do it and you'll say listing not recognized or not found, but other times the same thing, same procedure, everything works. So hopefully during the class, during the live transaction, we can use the MLS Connect without any problem. So you can see how we can use MLS Connect to save you keystrokes when you're doing an offer. Okay. Okay. First, let me show you how we can log in to to the zipForm. zipForm is a CAR software that's given to all Realtor members as part of your membership. It can be found right on the car.org website, car.org website. And if you belong to our association, you will see this is what I have on the desktop right now is our West San Gabriel Valley Realtors websites. On our websites, on the upper right-hand corner, there is an MLS login and there's a zipForm login. If you click on the zipForm login, it takes you to the CAR website. If you click on the MLS login, it takes you to the crmls.org login page from West San Gabriel. Okay, so this is our home website. It has a lot of information and a lot of things you can do. You can pay your dues. You can do online stores. You can do forms. There are forms that you need. For example, if you're changing office, you need to do office change forms. If your listing went from pending to sold, but you needed to change some information after it's already in sold status. Once the listing is in a final stage, agents and brokers cannot change any information. Then you need to fill out an MLS change form, and you can download it here. By clicking here, you can use the CRMLS member transfer form, MLS status change form. You can download that form, fill it out, and fill in there what information you want to have changed, and then send it to the association staff and ask the staff to help you change those listing information that is in the final status, such as sold or expired status. Okay, one of the most frequent changes is that when you open escrow, you may have a agreed upon price, but during the course of negotiation, maybe instead of making some repairs, the seller agreed to reduce to change the sell price, to lower the sell price, or maybe the appraisal problem, the appraisal value did not meet the sell price, and parties agreed to lower the sell price. And agents forget to change it in the MLS. And then when all of a sudden it goes to close, you change the close status, then you realize, oops, I forgot to change the sell price. That's when you need to use the MLS status change form, fill it out and send it to the association staff and ask them to make the change for you. Some association charge for this kind of service, but at West San Gabriel Valley associations, I do believe our staff are so nice, they don't charge. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So Fang is so nice that she'll do this for you as a member service. But some associations do charge when you want to ask them to make changes to MLS. So that's another added benefit of belonging to the West San Gabriel Valley Realtors. We do things for our members, lots of things. Okay, without further ado, let me go to, and you can see my cursor, right? When you're in our website, go to the upper right-hand corner, click on the zipForm login. When you click on it, you'll see the website is now changed to the login page of the car.org. That's one way to get to it. Okay, before I log in, let me go to open another. Let me open another window because I want to show you various ways you can get to the zipForm. If you go to When you go to this page, oh, I'm sorry, not this, CAR. I want to go to CAR. I'm so used to doing MLS every day, checking the listings, I forget. Okay. You can go to this website. And guess what? This is your CAR homepage website. You can also log in through here. Okay, you can log in through here. If you're a CAR member, when you log into your CAR website, it will expose you to legal Q&As. Those are reserved for member only. So if you don't log in, you cannot get to the legal Q&As. And there are other information like market statistics that's only available to members. So if you use car.org, you can log in there. Or you can go to West San Gabriel Valley and log in, and this will take you right to the login page of the zipForm. So it's up to you. There are various ways to access your zipForm. So let me show you how to log in from car.org. See, it's the same page as when you click on that. And then you can, and I already have my username and password saved, so I'm lazy, okay? My fat fingers, every time I type, there's a chances of making mistakes. So I try not to type as much as possible. So this way I can get into login, and you see my name now appears on the upper right hand corner. That means CAR now recognized me as a member and activated my account access. And then I can go to, and over here, it has my name. So you say hi to me and I say hi back. And now I go to the transactions, access secure transactions. And right here under transactions, you'll have access zipForm. Okay, you click on access zipForm. It now validating my membership because the zipForm is in a different website. So now we go there, it need to make sure that we are the credentials match. So now it checked out, says, yes, Brian Chen is a valid, active member in good standing. Now I can continue. When I continue, it takes me to this page. And now you'll see a circular thing is updating. What is updating is checking from the online system to your desktop software, because there is a way to download the software and put it into your desktop. I don't use it anymore. I haven't used the desktop software for the last 5 years, but that's what circular. And there are some people out in the rural areas that still like to use the desktop software. So when it's logged in, it updates from your desktop to their online. So they're all matching, all the data, all the transactions are all updated. Okay, so this is my login. You can select what homepage you want to log in. It defaults to the dashboard, but whenever I want to use zipForm, I want to go right into my transaction. So I set my default login page as my transactions page. Now, I want to show you something. Every one of us are independent contractors. We may be working with one company and then decided to sign up with another company. This happens all the time. There's no hard feeling about it. We're independent contractors. We can join any company that we like, that we feel can help us the most. So when you join a new company, you sign up a new contract with somebody, but you send in your paperwork, it may take a day or two. And especially if you do on a Friday afternoon, which is the most often time agent change company is on Fridays. I don't know why. It just statistically happens most often on Friday afternoon because they figure they sign up with a new company and they do a new open house over the weekend. But unfortunately, association office closed during the weekend. So you cannot rely on the association office to process your change of office. But as soon as you change your DRE license, which is instantaneous, you're officially changed to a different office. So if you write a new offer on Saturday, if you signed up with a new company on Friday, on Saturday, you're supposed to make sure all your offers show the new company information. It's supposed to have that. Let me show you something. Let me go to a previous demo and I'll show you the previous documents. Many times when people write offers, they will type in the correct office information right here, okay? But if you don't make the office change on your software, the information at the bottom here will not change. So you may change to ABC company, and when you type in a new offer, you write all the correct information. But if you don't do this profile change, this will still have the old information. It will not match. So that may create some liability issues, and some escrow actually will require the broker whose name appears here to write a letter acknowledging that this transaction belongs to the new company. That may create some problems, okay? So make sure the first thing you do, oops, what happened? Yeah, I accidentally. Okay. So when you log into your zipForm, okay, if you changed your new company, this is a step you must do. Please pay attention. You see my photos, or here, me, there's two locations that can access my member profile or user profile. I click on here, it says profile and settings. Same thing. If you don't have a photo here, you can click on this down arrow, same location, profiles and settings. You click on that, you see how this changed? Now it says about me, okay? If I have my cell phone change or email address change, I need to change it here, okay? Sign-in security offices. You see this offices? When you see this office, you click on it, you can change it to any office your new office information. After you change this information, you click on save. That's the next RPA. The next RPA, when you load up, will have this information on the bottom, okay? Remember, you got to do it first before you create a new transaction. If you create a new transaction, then remember, oh, I got to change my office profile. That new transaction, because it was created before you make the change, will still have whatever information was on here before you make the change on the bottom. Because the forms, once it's called into a transaction, is frozen. That form is static. It's not dynamic. Only the forms in the template, only the forms inside the template that hasn't been created into a transaction is what we call dynamic. That means changes with the system. Dynamic is changes with the system change. But once you changed it and you create a transaction, it becomes static information. Why? Because when you change office, you may still have old escrow that hasn't closed yet, that's still with the old office. You still are managing those transactions. So those informations need to stay the same. It will not change with you. Only new transactions created once you changed into a new office belongs to the new office. It's almost like before you stay with the old office information. Any current ongoing transactions still stay with the old office. Okay, especially if you already open escrows, very few broker will allow you to take that transaction that's already in escrow to a new office, because you know the commission belongs to that office. Okay, so you may have open transactions while still in escrow with the old office, and then you have new transaction when you write up new offers with a new office. So that's why this is a very important. If you change office, first thing you do is come here and change your office information. You can change it to your new office name, address, and your still phone number. I like to always, some people put in their company phone numbers. I like to always use my personal cell phone numbers, because I want everybody working on the transaction to contact me, because I am the most up-to-date person who's handling my transactions, not my office. My office don't do any of my paperwork for me. I'm the one who's doing the transaction. So I put my number here so that when people look at the information, they call me. I'm the one who's most aware of what's going on with my transactions. I know that many people put down company phone numbers there. And that just means when somebody pick up a offer form, they look down to look at the phone numbers, they'll call the office. But as you know, many times when they call the office, the receptionists have no idea what's going on with my transaction. Okay, only me, the agent who's working on the transaction, knows what's going on in detail, what's going on in my transactions. Okay, so that's the first location you do to check your personal profile. For those of you who have changed office before and you never did this, please go in there and verify your office information is still current. Okay, if it's still showing the old office, then click on the profile and settings and then go in there and change it. Okay, so once you clicked on it, you can click on save. Since I did not make any change, I just click on close. I'm back to my transactions. On the transaction desktop, you have some tools, okay? Tools that you can use. For example, if you're in a particular transaction, okay, you see the checklist. This is where you can go and create checklists. You can apply any template into a transaction. For example, if I'm here, I want to apply a template. I go to select the template I want to select. For example, if I just created this transaction, now I want to add my 30-day escrow checklist. I can click on here and says apply. And that will apply. I don't want to apply to here, okay? Because this is just to show you how you can add the checklist. Checklist is what? It's a reminder system. When you have an acceptance, what is the first task you need to remind yourself of? Within 3 days, your buyer's deposit need to go to escrow. So you can put in a checklist item, says 3 days after acceptance date, the buyer's deposit to escrow. And you can say, who do you want the system to remind? I always want the system to remind me, so I can call up my buyer and verify, hey, John, did you send in your, did you wire your deposit? It's due. It must be done today. That way I get a reason to contact my buyer and let the buyer know I'm still with him. I'm still working closely with him to help him move, towards the closing. So first task usually is the 3 days after acceptance. Another task, how about physical inspections? 3 days. I always arrange it 3 days because as soon as you get the initial physical inspection done, then based on the result of the inspection, if you need to order additional inspections, such as electrician to inspect the electrical functions, or foundation to check out the foundation, depending on what it was shown on the inspection report, your buyer may want to send out other experts to check out something on the property. So the sooner you get the initial physical inspection done, the sooner you can get the other things done. Because don't forget, you have a 17-day contingency removal period. And then during the time, you must finish your inspection, negotiate a request for repair, okay? And before you can remove all your contingencies. So that's the second thing. What's the third thing? Within 7 days after acceptance, what's due? Although the seller disclosures are due. So I will put in a checklist item for 7 days after acceptance date. Seller disclosures are due. You want to get the seller disclosure AVID. I always do my AVID on the same day of the physical inspection because I'm there with the inspectors. While the inspector is inspecting the property, I will do my inspection, visual inspection of the subject property at the same time. That way, I get my AVID all completed, okay, all done at the same time. And I will show you a little trick, Did you know you can insert photos into your agent visual inspection? Whatever you see, a little scratch mark, a little crack, you can take a photo and show it in your AVID. And I will show you how to do that. It's a very, very useful way of doing AVID. It will improve your AVID by 1,000-fold. Okay, if you never attached photo before, get into the habit of attaching photos. That way, if you describe some problems, okay, in your AVID, there is a photo to show the buyer what the problem looked like. Okay, so it's a good way to preserve visual evidence of what you saw. Okay, the worst thing is when you go through an AVID and you said there's some scratch marks. Well, to you maybe scratch marks. To the buyer, it could be a huge crack. Okay, so if you take the photo and let the buyer see what it is and preserve the evidence, so buyer cannot exaggerate the problem or the agent cannot minimize the problem. It is what it is. We're there to see anything visually that we can see that's wrong with the property. AVID is not for you to help the seller cover up problems. It is for you to help your buyer to discover any potential or missed problems that they missed during touring of the house. Okay, so it is probably the most important disclosure you ever made. In fact, it is the only disclosure about the property that you ever make to your buyer, because your AVID is the only written disclosure from you as the buyer's agent. Everything else, all the disclosures coming from seller, okay? But AVID is from you to your buyer. The law requires the buyer's agent to do a diligent visual, okay, inspection of the subject property in writing. So you better do a good job, because any litigation, any lawsuit, the lawyers will use the AVID you did to try to try to discredit you. Let them think that you did not do a good job for the buyer. So your AVID is the only representation of your work to your buyer. do a good job. Okay. So this is a transaction that I've already done, and I want to show you. Oops, there was a reason why I was there. Sorry about that. There are different things you can do. E-signatures, new e-signatures. I want to show you how to do a signature. Okay, you can do an e-signature right here, and it will take you. What is it? What is it you want to sign? Okay, I can say I want to sign a lease agreement. Okay, so that's one. You see, the lease agreement appears right here. Okay, that's one item. You can also, don't forget, you can add other documents that's not part of your transaction. That could be a document your company wants you to sign. For example, if I want to sign a lease agreement, my company has a special lease rental disclosure to the seller that tells the seller, you're the one who is evaluating the tenant. So if you're the one who's making the final decision. That's an external document. So right here, you see add external document. You can actually add any document in your computer. Okay, that's in your computer. So I want to add that. Besides the lease agreement, I want to add external document where I want to browse for the document. Where is the document? What happened? It's frozen. Okay, I want to add external document. I want to browse for it. Now you see that it goes to this screen. I can go to, this is my desktop. I can go to my transactions. Okay. I can go to where I have the desktop document stored. So I can go to the location where I have that particular document. And this is the document I want. Hold on. The Pinnacle Advisory. No, I don't. I want to use the particular one. Okay, this one. Pinnacle Landlord. Pinnacle Landlord Lease Rental Advisory. Okay. You see that? Now I can close. Now I have two documents selected. One is the lease, and then there is a Pinnacle Landlord Lease Rental Advisory. I mean, I am in e-signature. I selected the document. I can go to next. I go to next. Then I need to know what I want to do. Okay. I want to make, oh, babe. I want to select who want to sign this. Okay. I can select buyer one. Okay. And me as the listing agent. Okay, I need to add my this is your client's email. Normally you want to put in your client's email, but I want you, I want you to be able to see what I'm saying. Homes. Okay, so you have both email address there. So the first is the tenant to sign, then I need to sign something. So I go to next. The next step, because I have a outside document, okay, I need to set up the initial and signatures. So this is, I go next, it goes to document preparation. This is a very important step. This is the location where I need to set up, okay, my document. Okay, this is the initials, drag initial here. Oops. This is the tenant signature. You go to sign here. There is two ways of signing. One is an option. Here is a required signature. This is a required signature. So you always put it here. Sign here. Okay. And that's it. Okay. So that's the first document. Wait a minute. I got to do here. This is a residential lease. I was in a lease sample. You see this? This is the landlord document that created by my company. So I want, well, this is a landlord signature one. I was doing the tenant. So I pretend this is a landlord. So they need to sign right here. Okay. Then I need to select the next person. Me. There was place for me to sign. Now it's for my signature, right? I go back to the beginning. Where do I need to sign? Right here under the confirmation. Right. Let me see. There was a tenant. Now I can't find my signature line. There was a line for the agent that I need to sign. Well, I don't see it in the lease, but in a purchase agreement, I have to sign as the buyer's agent as well. So make sure, and listing agent sign right here, my signature, okay, right here. So I set up the document. Once the document is set up for signature, I go next. It will say, do you want to customize your invitation? Okay, well, to save time, just send the invitation. Then it will send the invitation. It goes out to the invitation to the email. So what email did I set up? I use my own email. So let me go to my own email. You guys are seeing my desktop, correct? So you can see all the changes. Go to my email. Your signature is requested right here. This is where I click to sign as the what? As the tenant, because the first email is this here, sample tenant. Because I couldn't, if I put in someone else's email, I wouldn't be able to show it to you. This is what your tenant will then, or if you're doing a RPA, this is what your buyer will experience. They click on this and it goes to the email signature. You guys are seeing this, right? And then, okay, that's my name. Yes, I accept. Then I go to start and it tells me to initial here, initial here, initial here, initial here, initial here, initial here, and sign right here, initial here. And there's just a couple more initials for those locations. And this is the company special disclosure. I complete signing. I finish my signing. Now, after it completes, you will go to the second person. So if you have two people who need to sign, you set up tenant number one. After tenant number one is signed, an email will go to a tenant number two to sign. Okay, so you need 10. If you have one tenant or one buyer, you have one signature. If you have two buyers or two tenants, you have two emails. Then after the first one signed, it goes to the second one. Okay, so now let's go back to the email. Where is the email one? I got a little confused. Where am I? Okay. Where is my email? Okay, I close this, goes to my email, go back to my email. It will say signing updated. Okay, I already done this. Okay, now this is my turn. You see, the first one was to my tenant. Okay, because I'm using the same email, it comes back to the same email address. Supposedly, you send it to your tenant using your tenant's email. After they sign, they come back to you, your email. Now it says, you know, my name, your name, and then start signing. I will be signing as the agent, which I only have one signature. Okay, my signature is right here. I go to start. That's the only signature I set up. I'm done. I'm finished signing. This is how e-signature works. Okay, so if you have two signatures, you can do two signature blocks. If you have 3 or 4, you can still do it. You just place the signature block on the same form, on the same location, you know, next to each other. You see what I'm saying? So I get this question all the time from my agents. I have 3 people to sign, but the form is set up for 2. Well, the form may be set up for 2, but you, by placing the signature blocks in an area where next to another signature, you may have 3 people signing, or you may have 4 people signing. Okay, so you can do that by drag and set up manually set up your e-signatures with as many people as you need. How many buyers? The most buyers I have encountered is 5 people. Okay, so 5 initial blocks, 5 signature blocks. You can do that. So that's not a problem. However, on the zipForm, there is another form called additional signatory acknowledgement. So if you have 2 people signing on the original purchase agreement, later on you have a 3rd person added, you can use additional signatory acknowledgement and they can sign on that. But if you add a 3rd person, okay, or you change your buyers from 1 person to 2 person, you need to do an assignment of agreement, okay? All of this, which form to use, you can ask your broker. Your broker should be able to tell you what is the proper forms you need to use, okay? So this is how you use e-signature. I want to get that out of the way first because that's one of the things that most people ask about e-signatures, e-sign forms, okay? And I also wanted to show you how you can add, forms that another agent already signed. For example, if listing agent already signed the seller's counteroffer, so they send a seller counteroffer to you as a PDF. You can actually drag it. You can add it to e-signature inside your zipForm by selecting additional document. You save it on your hard drive, maybe on download the document, okay? Then you can actually select the seller's multiple counteroffer and then add your buyer's signature underneath there, okay, to accept the seller's multiple counteroffer. Or if you say we accept the by seller's multiple counteroffer subject to buyer's counteroffer number 1, you need to fill out the subject to, check the box for subject to, okay, and then BCO number 1 dated, whatever the date of your buyer's counteroffer is. You can do that manually and then set up the signature blocks for your buyers. Okay, one of the most frequent mistakes I see people do is when they do the when they send the seller counteroffer, the seller never initial every page of the offer and never sign the acceptance subject to. They're supposed to do that. The proper way is seller's multiple counteroffer is on the top, and then buyer's initial offer on the bottom. Seller properly initial every page, and then signed the acceptance subject to seller multiple counteroffer on the last page of the offer, and the seller multiple counteroffer is supposed to be on top. You send the whole thing back, okay? But I see most of the time people just send the seller counteroffer because they don't want to deal with so many pieces of papers. They just do that. But then at the end, don't forget, after you have an acceptance, don't forget the seller needs to sign the offer, original offer, and send it back. Okay, I have experienced listing agent having problem with the seller, because the seller regretted. Okay, because there's a new higher offer coming in. The seller won't sign the purchase agreement, thinking if I don't sign the original purchase agreement, we don't have a deal. Then we run into arguments and then we have situations. And then when it comes down to, it will become the fault of the listing agent because the listing agent did not have the seller signing the RPA. That created the problem. So don't get trapped into that. Do it properly, okay? Don't do it later. Some signature need to get it done now. Don't wait until later. Okay, that's all I can tell you to avoid problems. Okay, that's the e-signature, okay? E-signature is done. Now, let's go back to the transaction. in your transaction, in your zipForm, let's go back to further. Let's go back to transaction management, transaction center. Okay. In your transaction center, you see forms advisor and forms tutor. Okay. Forms advisor. Many of you who work for a broker, you ask the broker for a transaction required document list. They'll give you a list of transactions document that is required for you to do a particular transaction. If you don't know, there is forms advisor and forms tutor available to help you know what the forms, what forms you need to do, what kind of transaction, and forms tutor is to explain what this form does. So right here in your transaction center, okay, here is a forms advisors and forms tutor. You click on that. It takes you to the two access portal, forms advisor and forms tutor. Let me show you what forms tutor does. Forms tutor has a list of forms. You see all these list of forms, 8 pages of forms available. Okay, they are there to explain what the form does. Okay, and they are buyer's inspection elections or buyer's inspection waiver. Let's do this one. Okay. You see this radio button? That explains what this form does. You can read it or you can listen to it.
Buyer's inspection waiver. Because certain inspections are so vital to a buyer's ability to determine the condition of a property and the potential costs that may be incurred upon ownership, some brokers do not want any misunderstanding about the recommendation to obtain those inspections. If the buyer chooses to ignore the recommendation, the broker wants some documentation for the file to demonstrate that the buyer made the decision on his or her own and not at the insistence of the broker. The buyer's inspection waiver, CAR form BIW, can be used to document a buyer's decision not to have a home inspection or an inspection for wood-destroyed pests and organisms. Even if those inspections are made, sometimes the inspector discovers a condition that may require further investigation that is beyond the scope of that inspector's expertise. In such cases, prudent advice of a real estate broker is for the buyer to obtain the additional inspection. If the buyer chooses not to, that decision can be documented using paragraph 4 of the BIW. This form is intended for use between a buyer and a buyer's agent. It does not alter the legal or contractual relationship between a buyer and seller.
Okay. Now you can see how the forms advisor, forms tutor teaches you what this form is used for and how you can use it. Okay. So this is very useful tools. So that's only one example. Okay. Let me go to other forms. Okay. Let me just pick contingency removal. That's another form so we often use. But maybe sometimes we come to a forms that we usually don't quite understand. For example, some kind of commercial forms that we don't normally use. Let me see. California commercial. Okay. A lot of times when you want to get information on commercial properties, they may send you the commercial confidentiality and non-disclosure. That's what this form is for. And then this forms tutor will teach you.
CAR form CML CNDA, Commercial Confidentiality and Non-Disclosure Agreement. This form is an addendum to a purchase agreement that has already been entered into or is being contemplated. Sometimes before an offer will be presented, one of the parties may want to ensure that the information in the agreement will be held confidential.
Okay, so I don't want to play this because this will go on forever. Not every form, but a lot of the forms you can find in the forms tutor to teach you about this form and what this form will do for you and how you're supposed to use this form. So forms tutor is to teach a new agent about forms they never dealt with and how they can properly use this form. This is a very, very important tool agent must learn because we have so many forms in the zipForm. Not every broker knows how to use those forms either. So you can see so many pages, 8 pages, right? 8 pages, withdrawal of offer. Okay, whenever you have, if I write a purchase agreement, if I write a offer to the seller, and before the seller made any decision, if my buyer changed the mind, doesn't want to make the offer because another property come up and the buyer want to buy that property, you're supposed to use withdrawal of offer form. So many times our agents didn't do that. And then they were writing in the middle of writing offer, negotiating offer with another property, and the first offer, the seller signed an acceptance back. Guess what? Your buyer has a binding legal contract with the first seller. So whenever your buyer change mind, want to offer another property, and you have an outstanding offer, you're supposed to do a withdrawal of offer form. I don't know how many times my agents comes to me and says, well, what does that mean? I say, well, your buyer has a legal binding contract with the first property. Well, but my buyer changed my, I said, your buyer now have to try to cancel the transaction. And, you get into a whole bunch of contract responsibilities and difficulties and all that. So whenever your buyer changed mind, before the other party sent you an acceptance, okay, you're supposed to do a withdrawal of offer. So many forms. There are so many forms here, okay? Stock cooperative, ownership advisory. We do every so often we still have stock cooperative properties out there. RPA, okay? RPA, the new 16-page RPA. If you did not go through the training for RPA, you see this? The RPA is so residential purchase agreement from page 1 to 4, okay? Page 10 to 14, page 15, 16, they explain things. And page 5 to 9, they explain the entire 16-page RPA for you. If you did not take the new RPA class, go through this. Go through the forms tutor. You have to understand the new RPA gives the buyer's agent new responsibilities. It is not the same as the old RPA. Even the responsibilities has been changed. So you guys, when you represent a buyer using the new form, you really have to understand what you must provide to your buyer, okay? It's a little bit more involved. The responsibility has been added. You have more responsible documents you must provide to your buyer. So read the new RPA, page by page, paragraph by paragraph, line by line. You need to understand the new RPA. If you make a mistake, the liability can be great, okay? And you may be subject yourself to very, very high liability if you make mistake on the new RPA. So please do yourself a favor, read the new RPA and go through the forms tutor. I mean, CAR is teaching you form by form what this form is about, is all about, and how this form is used, and why you should use it. So find your forms tutor and look into it, and look at the forms that you're supposed to be sent to the buyer. Understand how you're supposed to use it. Okay, so get a list from your broker on the required forms. If you don't know what form need to be used for a particular transaction, here is a solution. Okay, let me close this. Forms Advisor. Forms Advisor is a interactive tool. It will ask you 5 different areas of questions about your transaction: who your buyer is, who the seller is, what kind of transaction. They'll ask all kinds of questions. Once you finish answer, there are 5 pages of questions. It will give you a list of suggested forms that you need to use to complete your transaction. For example, let me click on this. Oh, okay. Somehow the system logged me out. I don't know. Why am I being sent back to here? I'm in the Forms Advisor. I want to use the Forms Advisor. Why does it keep on sending me here? Oh boy, this is a teacher's nightmare. The system is sending me to a loop. Oh boy. You know, the CR's Forms Advisor loop is not working properly. You keep on sending me back to the system when I want to go to the Forms Advisor. I have to write down and let CR know that something wrong with it. Okay, sorry about that. I can't properly demonstrate the Forms Advisor because it keeps on sending me back to my transactions, and it doesn't take me to the right area of the website. Somehow their website got screwed up. I don't know why. This is you know, sometimes they do these updates on the system, and then they create a broken link or looped link without knowing. And right now I can't access the Forms Advisor. So, but write down in your notes, there is a Forms Advisor for you to check out later, okay? Go to the CAR website. When you log into your zipForms, go to that same area, the transaction webpage, and then click on the Forms Advisors. From time to time, right now, it's not working today. It could be fixed. I will be reporting this to CAR, and hopefully they will fix it pretty quick. But right now, I cannot do a Forms Advisor. Okay. Now, let me go to the templates. Let me go to the templates. Forms Tutor I did. Forms Advisor I couldn't do. Yeah. Okay. Let me go to the forms templates. You see, right now we're in the transaction department. Transaction is when you have written an offer on a property with a buyer. You should create a specific transaction just for that. And you should keep all your transactions separate. I have seen some agents using the same transaction and using for different buyer. That's not good. That is bad. That is very bad because each buyer is a unique file. Your licensing law require you to create and maintain separate files for each client that you deal with. So for each transaction, you write an offer, you're supposed to have a file. So, so keep in mind, I always do my transaction based on the property address. That way I know, oh, I've written on 9139 Las Tunas Drive. I've written one on 123 Main Street. I've written one, 111 XYZ Avenue, okay? That's all separate. That will have my buyers for that transaction there. But for templates, templates is where you save yourself a lot of time, okay? Let me go to templates. Templates is something that you can set up. For example, you see on you guys are seeing my desktop changes, right? Fun? Are you guys seeing?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. I wanted to share my desktop instead of sharing one document because I will be switching so many different documents. I want you to make sure you guys are seeing all the changes. Okay, you see how I have a residential purchase, 30 days template set up? Okay, let me show you what's in there. This is everything I need to do a sales transaction. And here, California residential purchase agreement, okay? I have already set up things I want to type in there. Pre-typed, okay? Things that I normally use, okay? And I do this to save time, okay? For example, the new forms now require loan amount. I don't know what my loan amount is, but I know my point. I don't want to pay any more than 1 point. So whatever is generically applies to all of your transactions that you normally type in, okay, you pre-type in here. For example, might as well change this. Okay, that way my template is now officially changed. You see, everything that I normally have to type in an offer, if I pre-type in without the property address or the transaction specific information, without my buyer's name, the price, everything I normally have to type in, I type it in. Then next time when I use it, they're all there for me. I don't have to retype it again. That's what template does. That's why templates help save you time, okay? So this is my, for example, this is my 30-day, okay, template. I want to show you how to create it. It's so easy to create. When you're here, make sure you are in a template area right here, because whatever you create here is your template, okay? Don't make the mistake of typing in your buyer's name in here, because then every time you use it, that same buyer's name will appear. It's very bad, okay? Template is just that, something that's when you pull out is pre-filled out for you. So you want to create a new one. It's just like the way you create a transaction. Create a new template. What kind of template? New purchase. Okay, new purchase. What I do the sample because otherwise 30-day Okay, residential. Okay, I want you to remember this part. Select templates. I'm not going to select template this time, but when I do it, once I create a sample RES, residential purchase. Okay, that's a single family house. I better say SFR. Okay, then later I want to do the sample condo. I can pull the template and save the time. But right now I'm doing a brand new one, 30-day single family. I save it. Then it takes me to here. Then I have to select the forms I want to use, right? Residential purchase agreement, of course. Maybe buyer's counter offer, okay? Number one, okay. Maybe after the acceptance, I will do a what? Request for repairs, RR, right? What other stuff do I need? Request for repairs, contingency removal. Oh, okay, CR. I will do my CR, contingency removal. Usually there are two involved, so I put it in there. What else? Request for repair, contingency removal, verification of property condition, VP. Okay. Sometimes I might get into situations where I may have seller, okay, demand for seller to perform. Oops. Notice the seller to perform. Okay, notice if I'm representing the buyer, whenever I want to send a notice to perform, who do I send it to? I send it to the seller. Use it sparingly because it's a way of last resort. When you try to get the seller to give you something, they don't give it to you. You give them a last notice for seller to perform. After that, then you go into dispute resolution. It's ugly, turns ugly after that. Okay. Sometimes if a seller delay closing, very seldom, but it happens. Demand to close escrow. You give the seller the last note of demand. Seller, I need you to close escrow when you use this form. So these are the basic forms. You see a lot more forms involved in my real life transaction, but for sake of time, I'm using this, okay? Because in my other templates, I'm also including samples of seller's disclosure to me so that I know what other, because in my company, we require square footage, and lot size advisory. Some seller may not want to give it, but we require that to be given to our buyer. So we also require water heater and smoke detector. Water heater statement of compliance and smoke detector, okay? And we also require what? Carbon monoxide. Or water conserving. For property built before 1994, you have to use the water conserving device and plumbing fixtures and carbon monoxide. So it depends on your brokerage, what forms they require, and you will be adding more and more. Okay, then basically you come here. You come here is like a slate of a blank page. You need to start filling out this form. So what do? First, fill in your name. my name, my license number, my sorry, this is the brokerage name, and then the brokerage license number, and then my personal name, my agent's name. So that's me. So okay, so my name and my brokerage name is there. So once I enter the here and I'm representing the buyer, okay, I don't put in any buyer's name because I don't know who my buyer is at this point. Now you go to the purchase agreement. You noticed your company name and your name is here. Who do I represent? I represent the buyer only, right? And the listing agent represents the seller only. I pre-select that. I leave out the license number because I don't know who they are yet. Okay. And if this is a what date, I leave the purchase, but days of escrow, 30-day escrow. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Initial deposit, I don't know, but it's 3%, right? But I don't know what it is. So I leave it blank. Okay. I never do any increased deposit. I don't know what the loan is. Okay. But it defaults to conventional loan. So the next thing is any other additional terms. I don't know right now. Verification of all cash. I don't know whether or not it's verification of all cash, but you see, now it's all defaulted to attach with the thing. So when you do the when you do your offer, please make sure you include the bank statement where the money is. Okay, don't just send in your offer by yourself. It's incomplete because it says attached to the offer. Attached to the offer, the verification of the money, down payment or all cash. If you're all cash offer, supposed to attach with the offer. Okay, that's different than before. Okay, before you have to click attach to the offer, otherwise it defaults to 3 days after. Now it's attached to the offer or you check 3 days after. Okay, so these are little bit different. Normally it's upon notification, but I always use 6 p.m. because it's easier for everybody. Okay, otherwise if they say 2 p.m., then how are you going to do the key exchange at 2 p.m.? 6 p.m. is easier because the buyer is already off work. Okay. Normally it's seller occupied. They leave at close of escrow. Okay. Here is something different. In the new RPA, if you want the stove to stay, okay, items included. So you got to check all the items you want to be included. Okay. So I usually check this, but before I write offer based on the property, I want to know what they have. Okay. I usually just make sure the stove stays. Okay. If there's any wall mounted bracket, I do that. That's it. Okay. For the natural hazard is seller pay. Okay. Include environmental. I always want to include. That is just the premium natural disclosure packet. Okay. Just a premium. You will include something about the environmental. Okay. And then termite report. Paid for by the seller. And physical inspection report paid by the buyer. Okay. Smoke alarm. water heater bracing paid by the seller. Government point of sale, if it's required, okay. And then government required point of sale correction, okay. One is for inspection and any corrections. Escrow fees, both each to pay their own escrow fee. Owner's title, seller pay for that, okay. County transfer tax, seller pays. City transfer tax. Unless you know the city that you're dealing with, normally there is no city transfer tax. Most of the cities in LA County don't have transfer tax, except Los Angeles City, Culver City. So if you don't deal in that, you can leave that blank. But remember, if you're dealing in that, you got to change it, because right now I'm writing in general that applies most. And because this is a single family, I don't have anything for HOA. I don't check anything for HOA because it doesn't apply, okay? And any other addenda? I don't have anything, and that's it. Okay, that's my residential sale template. I'm done with my residential sale templates. Now, go back to the list. I have a sample 30-day single family. Now I want to show you a quick way to do a condo. New. Purchase. New condo, okay? Condominium. Here, if I do a new one, it's like before, I start from scratch. But is condo very similar to single family sale? Yes, it's very similar. So here is my trick. I click down here where my template is, and I select what? I select a 30-day sample, 30 days single family. This one I just created. I want to create a new one, but I want to use this template, you see? And then I say save, watch. Voila, everything is here. Then I go to the purchase agreement. The only thing I change, what is the difference between single family and condo? It's only about what? The fees, the condominium stuff. So I go here. Oh, my eyes. Oh, I forgot. I forgot to write in home warranty plan. Seller to pay, not to exceed 600. I need to change that. Okay, that's one other thing I forgot. And then home warranty plan, buyer's choice. Okay, HOA. Remember, earlier I was doing the residential purchase, right? So there's no HOA. HOA, the HOA document preparation disclosure is always seller. That's by law. The law require. I have a listing agent in my office that says the seller refused to pay. I tell the listing agent, by law, the seller has to pay. Go to the purchase agreement. It says seller. It did not give an option. The seller has to pay. HOA certification fee. HOA certification fee is HOA certification to the lender. So who is using the lender? Not the seller. It's the buyer who's using the lender. So automatically it's buyer. You see, Now we have a HOA transfer fee. Usually HOA, when you transfer to a new owner, they have a transfer fee. Sometimes it's like $695. Sometimes like $1,200. Who pays? I always write in first. Seller pays for the transfer. Okay, seller pays for the transfer. That's about HOA. Those are about HOA. Okay, so now my condo is done. My condo template is done. Why? I use the template within a template. That's the trick I want to show you. Using a template within a template. Okay, so now my template is done. So I go back. I have a condo I just created. I have a single family I just created, but back in a single family, I forgot to type in about the home warranty plan. And seller pays not to exceed $600. Okay? Okay, so that's how I create templates. Now, let me go back. Right now, the time is 11 o'clock or 10:57. Let's come back and restart these things at 11, 10. Is 10 minutes long enough for a restroom break? Fang, what do you think? 10 minutes or 15 minutes? I want to
10 minutes fine. Ling usually do 10.
Huh? 10 minutes
Ling,
fine.
yeah, Ling usually do 10.
Okay, so let's do 10 minutes. 10 minutes party break. Then I come back to you on how I create a transaction from scratch. A 30-day residential single family purchase. Okay, I already selected a listing, okay, from our database, and I have clicked the parcel number. I clicked the parcel number and found out the seller's name. Okay, and then I'll show you how to use templates to quickly write up an offer. How to use a template to quickly write up an offer. So right now it's 11 o'clock. See you back here at 10 after 11. 10 after 11. Thank you. Okay, it is 10 after 11. Do me a favor. If you're in front of your desk, raise your hand so I can see that you guys are ready to start the class. I only have one person raising hand, Kyle. No, you clicked on the emotion. Go to the click on participant, and then you will see. Oh, wait a minute. That's not it. Where is it? Oh, I'm in my share screen mode, so I can't see. Where is the emotion tab? Reaction tab.
You need to go to the participant list. And then.
Oh, okay. You go to the participant list to your name, and when you scroll over to your name, you can raise your hand or lower your hand. So right now, I only see 3 people raising hand. Wow. The rest of you are not back? Okay, go ahead and lower your hand. The 3 people. Kyle, Suwani. Oh, Suwani, lower your hand. Okay, I'll lower for her. So does that means the rest of people just went out to go ahead and take the rest of the day off? Go ahead. It's okay. It is already now 11:13. Let me continue. For those of you who don't know what checklist is, let me show you my checklist. This is my checklist. Do a print screen and save it for your future reference. These items, these tasks are pretty much what a normal 30-day transaction will be like. You'll see the task names, and then you have the due dates. Due dates. Most of the due dates are what? Most of our due dates are calculated after the acceptance date, right? So it's 3 days after, 1 day after. And then starting with the final walkthrough, we switch to how many days before closing. So 5 days before closing, we do a buyer's final walkthrough. 3 days, we check with escrow about loan doc, is it in to ready to sign. 1 day before buyer signing loan docs, wire the money in. The next day, the lender funds, we close. And then I will always, when my buyer signs the loan doc, I always call the listing agent and said, my buyer just signing loan docs. We're going to close tomorrow. Now, tell me, where will I go to pick up the keys tomorrow after recording? I always contact the listing agent for keys. That's how I do business. I have agents who come to me and says, you know, my buyer's loan funded, we recorded today. Now I cannot find the listing agent and I don't know where to get the keys. Well, I asked my agent, did you contact them before? Did you talk to them? Oh, the listing agent is always so hard to get a hold of. Then you should have contacted them even earlier. You don't wait until the last day. You contact them, okay? So this is how I do business. This is the standard checklist from Brian Chen. This is my habit of doing a 30-day escrow. Let me go to the questions, chats. One question from Gilbert Sabellos. What is the difference between e-sign and DocuSign? They are similar functions. All they do is electronic signature service. E-sign comes with the zipForm and it is free. It is free. DocuSign, you have to pay an annual fee. And if you want to use DocuSign, you have to pay DocuSign a separate fee. Brian Chen is cheap. I like to use e-sign, and I've always used e-sign because e-sign is free. Many of my agents use DocuSign because I click on DocuSign documents all the time. Many of my agents use DocuSign. Some of my agents even use the broker mint electronic signature because it comes with our company's platform. Broker mint is free. Okay, so e-signature is from zipForm, from Lone Wolf. Okay, DocuSign is a separate company, and there are many other companies that offers electronic signature services. Whatever you want to use is fine, but since I like it for free, it comes with the system. That's why I always use e-sign. Okay, I don't use DocuSign, but many of my agents do, and that's fine. The way you select what service, either e-sign or DocuSign, is right here. Go back to the profile. You guys are still seeing my screen, correct? Fang?
Yes.
You're seeing my profile right here?
Yes.
Go to the profile settings. Product. Oh, sorry. No, settings. You see over here, Digital Ink 2.0. Me, I select that. If you want to use DocuSign, click on here, and then they'll ask you for your DocuSign login information and all that. e-sign, everything is built into the system. So I just click e-sign, digital ink, I'm sorry. E-sign is by digital ink. So e-signature. Okay, we shouldn't say e-sign because it's e-signature service offered by Digital Ink 2.0. Okay, the company is also called Authentic Sign. Okay, so that's right here in the personal profiles in the settings. Okay, so you need to set it up. Whatever you want to use is fine. Either DocuSign or digital ink, they all work well with zipForm because zipForm auto-populates into both services. If you want to use other third parties, then that means you have to save your document as a PDF, upload it into a third-party software, and then select the signature initial where you want it. It's all fine. It's personal preference. You are independent contractors, so you can use whatever services you feel comfortable with. Check with your broker. Sometimes your broker may have requirements that you use one or another, but you know, e-signature is e-signature. It's just electronic signature. Documents sent to your clients, to people via email. They click and they go into that system and click to sign. Okay, just remember, husband and wives should have their own separate email when they do e-sign. You don't want to, you don't want to send both husband and wife signature to the husband's e-signature. You will get in trouble. Let me tell you, protect yourself. I don't want you guys to be sued by the wife says, I never agreed to purchase or I never agreed to sell. Everything is done by e-signatures. The listing agent only sent things to my husband. Everything was signed by my husband or vice versa. Okay, so protect yourself. If it's a husband and wife or two buyers, two sellers, three individuals email, one for each person. You must use their own personal email. Okay, don't send emails to a son. Okay, I had a transaction at the last minute. The buyer want to back out. We say, you cannot. The buyer says, I never signed any of it, any of the document. I never signed the contingency removal. I said, wait a minute, we have your e-signature. That was sent to my son. My son is in high school, in Arcadia High School. Okay, so your agent committed fraud. Whenever the buyer want to back out, that's when all hell break loose, because the seller says you remove all contingencies. And if you did not use the buyer's personal email to do the e-sign, the buyer can say, oh, the agent committed fraud against me. I never signed. That's how dangerous it is. When we used to do signatures by hand, we used to sit down with the buyer watching him to sign. Now we do it by email. Who do you know who's clicking on the sign? So the only way to verify now is using the email addresses of the person. So don't get into this, don't get into the trap saying, oh, the wife says, I don't have any email. I don't read English. I don't speak English. Just send it to my husband to sign. It's an e-signature. Email has to be unique. Okay, you have to understand that. If you say you don't understand English, no problem. I'll meet with you and I have you sign by hand. By the way, a document, you can have somebody sign e-signature. You can have somebody use hand to sign. You can have some documents signed by e-signature. That's that same person on some other document. Just so happen they're face to face with you. They can hand sign. It's fine as long as they're signed by the person. Okay, so don't lose your license, because in those kind of lawsuits, once you lost, Once you're found guilty, they will send that lawsuit to the DRE. The next thing is DRE investigation. At the conclusion of the DRE investigation, your license will be suspended because tampering with people's signature is statutory fraud. Fraud is a criminal offense. Okay, you will lose your real estate license. So don't do it. Stupid, not worth it. Okay, so that's where you select which service you want, either Digital Ink 2.0, which is e-signature, and DocuSign. I hope I answered your question. Close. Okay, now I'm back to the checklist. This is what the checklists do. I would help you create a new checklist, but I'm not going to create all these tasks. In my demonstration, I'm only going to do 3 or 4 checklist items to save time, okay? Because I want you guys to know how to do it. So watch me go through the motion from beginning to end, okay? Now, we're back. We're back to transaction, right? We're now ready to do a transaction using template. I have selected a listing, and on the listing, there is that APN number. I clicked and got the seller's name. Now I'm ready to write an offer, right? I have the listing. I have all the information I need. I am in a transaction, not in a template anymore. I'm in the transactions because I'm writing an offer. I'm creating a new transaction. So here, create a new transaction. What is the transaction? Is a purchase. What is the thing? Is, okay. This is the name of my transaction. It is a residential purchase. Select templates. Select templates. I want to use a 30-day. Where is the 30-day? Residential. Residential. Hey, what happened? Oh, right here. Eh? What happened to the templates I created? Sample 30. Oh, at the bottom, way at the bottom. Okay, sample 30-day single family. That was the templates I created with you guys in the class. Now, let's keep the finger crossed because MLS Connect is a very useful function. It uses the listing number and automatically go to the CRMLS matrix system to pull the listing data over into the zipForm. And let me warn you, ever since the December 15th, 2021 system update in zipForm, somehow MLS Connect is a hit and miss with CRMLS. I don't know what happened. I'm not a software programmer. So let me try to use MLS Connect. I know my listing number. So I hit MLS Connect, make sure it is CRMLS, and the listing number is WS 220 208 46. WS 220 208 46. Just to be sure, I use the capital W. Okay, include property photo, and I say find this listing. And I'm keeping my finger crossed to make sure it works because it's a hit and miss. And it's not looking good. Oh, great, it's working. It's working perfectly. Now, you see this photo right here? And you see the photo on the screen, it matched. It is the same property, 680 Caddis Street, Monterey Park. Okay, this is the information I want to use in my transaction. So right here, I inserted the listing. Okay, now I say save. I am now in this transaction. Okay, and then I go to documents. I go here. The list price is a purchase agreement, and let's use yesterday's date, okay? Because I want to say it got accepted today. Okay, so yesterday I wrote an offer, and this is an offer from a sample buyer, okay? Only one buyer, okay? And then from the sample buyer on this property, you see, it already imported all the information about the property and the what? And the listing agent information. But I don't know what the sell price is. Purchase price, the list price is 1.45. I'm going to offer 1,400,000. Okay. And I'm going to say, I'm going to put down loan amount, $1 million. For interest rate not to exceed 5%. Buyer to pay 0 point up to 1 point. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now with this, everything is ready. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. The reason why is I now have to write in the seller's name, right? Who is going to accept the seller? I mean, accept the offer. So sample buyer, and the seller's name is right here. You must contract, you must have a buyer's name and a seller's name. Otherwise, this is not a legal enforceable contract, okay? That's why I look up the seller's name, and the seller's name is Erlinda. Cool. That's the seller for this property. Where did I find it? I find it in the realist tax report. How do I get to it? I get to it by clicking on the parcel number on the listing. Then when I get there, I verify it is the right property, and then I find out the seller's name. Ladies and gentlemen, I just finished writing up an offer using MLS Connect, using a template. See how little typing I have done. I just have to type in the seller's name, everything else, and the purchase price. I'm done. That's how come Brian Chen can write up an offer in less than 5 minutes, because all I need to do is create. I already pre-created the templates, then I wrote up the offer, right? Now, this offer is finished, it's done. That's pretend. That's pretend I got an acceptance. Now, we go back to the summaries. We have to enter in the buyer one, seller one. I already got that. And information about the property and purchase summary. This is offer date was what? Offer date was February 13th. Okay. Offer expire date was 3 days, 1, 2, 3, 16th. But offer was accepted today. Yay, we're gonna open escrow. So offer acceptance date today. Why do I put in all this information? Because I'm going to show you how to use checklist, okay? Okay. Right now, I don't know my escrow number because I will call, I know the commission because the commission was offered at buyer side, okay? Remember, buyer side. So buyer side commission was offered at 2%. So I write in there 2. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Agent's name. I don't have any referral agent. Okay, listing summary. There is no HOA dues. Okay, so I got all pretty much listing side. I don't know what the listing side commission is. I don't care. I just care about what was offered to me. Okay, don't get into the habit of, oh, why is the listing agent get 3% and only offer me 2%? If you saw the listing and it offered 2%, that's all you have to worry about. When you show the property, you already agree to the 2%. Okay, so don't get in the habit of arguing about, you know, why is it only 2? Why is it not 2.5? Okay, you accepted at 2%. Initial deposit. Initial deposit, 3% of 1.4. Calculator. Calculator. $42,000. Okay, 3%, 42,000. Okay. Oh, by the way, did I write that in my offer? I don't remember if I typed that in. Let me take a look. Yeah, okay, 42,000. Okay, good. So everything, I am now at the summary. Oops, transaction. And this one, I mean, this transaction, go to summary. Okay, I'm at the summary level. Okay, I can add template. If I click on template, then I add my 30-day sales checklist, my 30-day sales checklist, and say apply. It will apply. Okay, now this is how I add my checklist into my transaction. Okay, that means everything from today, because it's calculated from date of acceptance. So everything is calculated from checklist document. Okay, so I now have, it hasn't started yet. You see how I went to documents and I can go to the checklist. Once the checklist is done, once something is done, it will change to status to complete. So this is how you check your checklist. Remember earlier, I said this is pretty much a transaction action that need to be take place. Okay, I can, at any time, I can add a new task. I can add a new task to my checklist. So don't worry about, oh, that original checklist, we have something new to do. Well, you can add a new task. This is how you do your checklist and make sure everything you need to do is all done, okay, on time. Documents is where you go and review your documents. This is your entire transaction. Now, let me show you, demonstrate to you how you create your own checklist. Earlier, I show you my checklist item, right? And I'm going to now show you how you create your own checklist. How you create your own checklist. Now I have to exit out of transactions because I need to go back to the template. I go to the template mode. I want to create a new thing, right? A new thing. new template name, I'll say demo 30-day SFR. Oops. Checklist. Residential, not a condo, because with a condo, I will add more items. I will check with escrow about condo documents and all that. So my templates. Okay, don't use my template because I want to show you how to create one from scratch, right? So here is a new transaction. You are in a new template, but what do you want to add document or do you want to create checklist? You want to create checklist. This is where you go to create a checklist. Brand new is blank. It's like a blank sheet of paper. What do you want to do? You want to add new checklist. Okay, you want to add new check. Well, you don't want to add. You want to click here. New checklist. Okay. Now, I'm here. You see this button? Create a new task. Okay, a new task. Say today is February 14th. What is the task? You want to make sure deposit, oops. See, Brian Chen, when his fat fingers can't type. I want to use the relative date, never a fixed date, a relative date. 3 days after, so it's not before, it's after acceptance date. Acceptance date. Required, absolutely yes. Responsible party, I want to say buyer's agent. Selling agent. They didn't change the term. Okay. Notify responsible party. Yes, you got to say you want to notify, okay? Otherwise, there's no notification set. Then 3 days from today, I will receive an email says initial deposit is due. Now, if you want to be proactive, you can change this to 2 days. That way you can pre-warn your buyer, hey, tomorrow morning, go and wire the money. That's fine, 2 days. Is however you want to work. However you want to work with your buyer, okay? And you don't have to type in a description. You can if you want, but you don't. You don't have to type in. And attach documents. Here is something. If you want time to remove contingencies, you can actually attach certain documents to it. I never do. I always work from my transaction. This is how Brian works. Okay, that's one task. See that initial deposit. What is Brian's next task is to set up inspection. I want to do that ASAP. So it's relative day. Within 1 day after acceptance date, I want to set, and it's a require. Who is responsible? Me. I make myself always be the responsible person. That way the notification come to me. I can then contact my buyer. Okay. I don't want to just have the system notify the buyer and the buyer doesn't recognize the system. Say, who is this email that's sent is not from Brian because it's sent from the system. They don't know. They don't recognize it. So they all think it's a spam. When the email comes to me, I contact the buyer. The buyer always recognizes me. And you know, sometimes it's as easy as me forwarding an email. Okay, so the second task, you see that? Second task is saved. Now you can say, what is the third task? Inspect and seller agent inspection. Inspection, okay. Selling agent, AVID. Selling agent, AVID. Relative, require. And I always do this probably 5 days, within 5 days after acceptance. I want to do as quickly as possible. No time to waste. And then go assign to who? Selling agent, of course. Okay, so this is how you do it. If you want the description, you can type whatever you type in the description, it will show up right here, description. This is how you create your own checklist. But create your checklist in templates. That way you save it. That's why when I created my transaction, I added my checklist. All the checklist is all done. I don't have to worry about it. Okay, this is how you do it. Now, last thing is a bonus. I want to show you how you can add pictures. How you can add pictures into your AVID. Okay, so we're done. We're done for the regular class. I have shown you how you use templates, how you can create checklist, and how you can save your checklist, and then later add your checklist into your transaction, right? Now, go to my transaction. Go to my transaction, and I'm in this transaction. And go to my documents. And somewhere in my document, I need to do an AVID. Ha, I didn't add it. So I'm gonna do an AVID. Agent visual inspection. Okay, good, loaded. This is how I do my agent inspection, right? So don't forget the first page, the property address. You know, I get too many phone calls. This is probably the 10th phone calls today, this morning. Okay, who is performing? Inspection performed by the real estate brokerage firm. Okay, I often see the first page, this information is missing. You got to fill it in. This is identify the company, okay? And buyer initial here, right? And then over here, you write in the inspection time. Today is a good day, so I use today's time. What time is it? 11:47. 11:47, okay, a.m. Weather condition outside, sunny. Sunny and clear, okay? You got to write down the weather condition. Don't just leave it blank, okay? The more thorough you do on your AVID, the more professional you appear. Other people present. Besides me, you don't have to write down your name because they know you're the one who's doing it. So who else? Buyer. What is the buyer's name? Sample buyer, wasn't it? Okay. And then was the seller home? Oh yeah, the seller was home. What was the seller's name? Okay, the seller's name was Erlinda. Cool. Cool. I always write in there who they are. Okay. The buyer, because, okay. Sample buyer, Erlinda Koo, seller, right? Is a listing agent there? No. How about the inspector? Because I always schedule on the same day as the inspection. So hopefully today, the inspector is there. So say, John, inspector. Okay, he is the physical inspector. Okay, that's fine. Inspector, that's good enough. Okay, and then I go through entry by entry. Okay, the entry area, if there's personally, Brian do always leave no blanks. Okay, so I say entry, no visual defect noted. Okay. Save this. Living room. The way you check is every single wall, the floor, the ceiling, and windows, you open, close, make sure the window locks. If there's blinds, you open, close the blinds, make sure everything is functioning correctly, because any defects, you're supposed to say that. So if living room, and today's most of the home, you don't want to say good, okay, excellent. If there's no visual defects, everything looks great, this is all you write down. No visual defect noted. That's all you write down. Okay. Dining room. No visual. If there's something stick, like sometimes I'll say, oops, window sticks hard to open and close. Must apply force. Okay, so that means window. Sometimes, hey, this house was built in 1978. The window was wooden window when that house was built. It kind of open and close kind of hard. So, if you notice that, write it in. If there's a cracked window glass, write it in. Let me tell you, it's always at the final inspection, people get to argument. At the window, the glass was cracked. The seller says it's always cracked. It's been cracked for years. It's not leaking water. Everything works fine. I didn't replace it. And the seller said, no, it was cracked after I made the offer. So your visual inspection is so important. Little tiny defects get into buyer and seller arguing with each other, headbutting. You don't want that. So do a thorough one. Kitchen. There was a crack on kitchen counter. I noticed. And there was cracked floor tile, right? Okay. Oh, when you do kitchen, you have faucet. You're supposed to turn around the faucet, open the cabinet, and look underneath. Is there leaking? Is your visual, whatever you can see, is there any leaking? If not, look inside. Was there previous sign of previous water damage? You can write that. Okay. Maybe previous water damage, question mark. You never want to be the one who's making the conclusion. Okay, I always do that to leave me room for negotiation. Okay, because you don't know what happened. And how do you know that was from water damage? Don't know. So you ask the seller. That's how you're supposed to do your visual. You are not the building inspector. You are not the licensed contractor. You notice something, you ask the seller for further elaboration. Okay, that's all. Okay. Any other rooms? Whatever not apply, put in NA. Okay. Always use northeast, southwest to identify things. I don't want to go through the whole thing. I want to, because it's almost 12. I'm trying to get you guys to lunch earlier. So I just do one bedroom. Bedroom number, okay. Bedroom number 1, that's pretend no visual defect. Okay. And bedroom number 2, okay, bathroom. Bathroom number 1. I identify hallway, bathroom. Okay. And it says separation of shower, tile, wall. Okay. That's all. I'm not going to go through the rest. I'm going to now show you how to add photo. You see there's a line right here. If you want to insert photos, you got to make sure if you want to insert the photo here, you want to make sure the line is away. You're in the page. Don't do it when it's like this, because when you insert, what happened? I just noticed something. With this new update, oh, photos right here. They added right to photo. Okay, it used to be more. I was looking for the more. Okay. Now, you want to insert photos while you're in this page. Don't do it right here, because when you do it right here, the photo will be inserted to this page. So you got to be in here, and then you go photos. Okay, attach photo. Attach photo. You go to where your photo is. And then cracked on the kitchen countertop. Remember, cracked on kitchen countertop. You name your photo correctly, it will save you time later. So you do it right here and it says, okay, you attach that. Photo number 1. Where is it? Kitchen. Where is the kitchen? Right here. Photo number 1. There's also cracked floor tile. So photo, attach photos. Okay. Oops. Don't do that. Because I'm here, I got to make sure it's above. Okay. So I go photo, attach photos, and cracked floor tile. Okay. Third photo. Oh, moisture damage. Okay. That's a third photo. In here, bedroom number 2, I also have photos I need to attach, right? I'm finished painting on the after, okay. Photo, attach photo. Okay, I'm finished patching. Okay, right here. And then the last photo. Hallway bath, okay? That's where I attach photos. Okay, now I'm done with this, so I go back. You're supposed to fill out the rest, okay? This is not a completed document. You got to make sure. Oh, why is it? It didn't show. That's weird. Okay, Man Realty. It didn't auto-populate. It's supposed to. Okay. That's my report, okay? But what do I want to do now? I want to save it as PDF. So I also want to say save as PDF in the transaction, save. Now, I want to show you something, because if you're looking at the transaction, the AVID, if you're looking at it, you don't see the photos. All you see is the insert. But if you look at the AVID PDF, that is a created AVID. This is what the AVID will look like. It has everything that you filled in, photo, whatever, okay? At the end of the report, photo number 1. Remember I say name your photo correctly? Cracked on the kitchen countertop. Here is the crack on the kitchen countertop. That's the photo. The next one, moisture. Moisture damage on the wall under the kitchen sink. Moisture damage, you see that? That's a clear water stain, okay? And maybe other problems. I don't know. I'm gonna ask the seller to explain. This is actual photo of some houses, man. So I want to show you some of the houses, okay? Cracked floor tile in the kitchen. Cracked floor tiles in the kitchen. You see that? This is all related to the kitchen. Now, photo number 4, unfinished patching in the east wall on the middle bedroom. I didn't go through that east wall, west wall thing because I wanted to save time with you. Okay, you see, unfinished painting was after patching because I can see their patching done, but there's no painting. The next one, crack on the ceiling and missing smoke detector on the ceiling above the bedroom door in the north bedroom. This is a different bedroom. Okay, see the crack? See the crack? And see the missing smoke detector? It just got the case. The detector is detached. Somebody just took it off. Maybe because this person smokes in the bedroom, so he takes the detector off, pulled out the battery so that he smokes in the bedroom. Okay, but anyway, you get the idea. This is what your AVID will look like if you use photos. And this is what your job is to show what you saw. That's all. Okay? And then you can email this to people to sign. This is how you insert photos. I'm pretty much done. Let's see, chat. Any more questions? Do we have to join or pay some software company to use e-signatures? I think I answered that earlier. No, it's free. E-signature is free. But if you use DocuSign, you have to pay. I am here. Oh, okay. Okay. So any questions? You guys, if you want to ask some questions, please feel free to type it in the chat or raise your hand. I will stop sharing now. And you can raise your hand and I will unmute you or ask you to unmute yourself. And then you can ask your questions. I don't see any hands raised. I don't see any new chats. We're done. I'm so sorry I couldn't get the Forms Advisor to show you. Forms Advisor is kind of fun. If you later on write it in a note to remind yourself, when you're in the CAR website and then you go to the transaction center, you see the Forms Advisor, just play it. Just answer something like, this is a trust sale, yes or no. Is the buyer an entity, yes or no? Entity means what? The buyer is either an LLC, corporation, or trust, or a power of attorney. You know, you just answer those questions from the screen because it goes through the buyer, it goes through the transaction, it goes through the seller, and then it goes through some other questions. 5 categories of questions. Once you finish answering all of those questions and then hit forms, it will give you a list of forms you will need to use to complete the transaction. Okay, so play with it. You can try it at home. If you have problems using it, you can always contact CAR. You can always contact CAR support and ask questions about zipForms, okay? And I will contact CAR to find out what's going on with their Forms Advisor. I wrote it down right here. So I'm gonna ask, okay? Well, for the rest of you guys, have a wonderful day. And it's been a pleasure for me to spend this morning with you. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you have learned something new tricks. And definitely, please use checklist. Please insert photos in your future AVID. It helps you do a lot of good things. And when you do AVIDs, you're supposed to do it in a garage, on a concrete floor, outside. You know, a lot of times you see the fence is kind of old. It's kind of hard to describe the damage. Just say damage due to age, take a photo and show what's wrong with the fence. You know, we get a lot of arguments as the fence is leaning now, but it wasn't leaning when I made the offer, and the seller swear up and down. The fence was always leaning. It's a 30-year-old wooden fence. It leaned. Okay, we get into arguments. If you take photo, No more arguments. It's there. It was there when you made the offer, because we were there within a couple of days after the offer was made. We did a visual inspection. Okay. If the buyer decide not to do a physical inspection, you still have to do an AVID, and you got to make sure you do a very thorough one. Okay. And you got to make sure if the buyer waive any kind of inspection like termites or physical inspection, do a buyer inspection waiver and use paragraph 3, initial inspection they waived. After you do your physical inspection, the physical inspection report says, I saw some cracks on the foundation, recommend getting a foundation specialist. Make sure your buyer agree to get a foundation specialist. If your buyer says, no, this is a 40-year-old house, concrete is bound to crack, no need, then you better use a BIW, buyer inspection waiver, paragraph 4, buyer waive additional recommended inspection, and write in the name of the physical inspection company and the date of the physical inspection report. Additional recommendation, buyer waived. Okay, this will save your butt. This will save your butt in case of later on there are serious problems. Okay. Okay, that's the end of today's class. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Tomorrow is the Lantern Festival. That marks the end of the Chinese New Year celebration. We were supposed to eat the sweet rice ball with fillings. It's called tangyuan. So for those of you who celebrate that, don't eat too much. Don't get a tummy ache afterwards. But anyway, last chance to wish you a happy year of the tiger, because after tomorrow, we don't have to say New Year greetings anymore. So everybody have fun today. Practice, practice, practice. Just go back and do some practice transactions. I hope today's class is helpful to you. Bye-bye.